All right, gonna do a little update for you guys. We'll do some levels, just simple levels on a naked chart. Only indicator I'm gonna add maybe is the RSI, just to add a little divergence in there, and then maybe some simple volume. Let me show you where I'm tracking, and because most of you guys are trading cryptocurrency, we'll be starting with Bitcoin and run through a couple of altcoins. So it looks like we've caught at least a local bottom here. Um, that lines up pretty good with this top. And we have a local top as well. We're going to line that up here. This looks to be the range in which we're moving in and trading in. And you can get a little pickier on your range if you want. I think this is good. Let's look for a midpoint, because we definitely have a midpoint on this range too. And depending on the exchange you're looking at, it's going to be a little different. Let me mark this midpoint with a dashed line. And yeah, I'm going to pull it down just a little bit. I'd rather have it there. I think that works just a little bit better. So we're not looking at these to get tapped to the line. And the lines are really there just to kind of help define the range. Obviously, they can move in and out of the range. We've got that happening over here. These are deviations where they pull out. If you look at where we're at now, we've come up back to the mid, come back up again. We haven't been able to get out of this range, this lower consolidation range. I'd like to get up into the next area, and if we can break above, we can see this is probably our next mid-range area. And honestly, I'm going to call this. Yeah, it's a little tough. We'll start here. We'll be a little conservative. Let's drop our mid range a little. Yeah, that looks pretty good. It's kind of a next block area we want to break into. Whether or not we get in here this year, I'm a little uncertain. What I'm hoping for, and let me pull up some arrows. We'll just draw it out. What I'm really hoping for is that we come back down into this area just a little bit, and then we can break above. So if we can form another higher low, and then break into this range, we can then possibly start trading in here and break above. That's kind of an ideal, hopeful scenario. I don't think we're going to get this year. And that just has to do with a lot of market conditions. This was fueled, if you go back, you see we got 2020 down here where we spiked down, and then we had a market recovery back to the same level. And then we started to get cash infusions where we started printing money like crazy. People had a lot of excess money and people had a lot of time on their hands. So this was kind of a, what do we call that? A white swan event, not a black swan event. And I just don't see that occurring again in the near future. We just don't have the right market conditions for it. I know we have halving coming next year, and everyone's excited about that. But if you look back at halving cycles, halving what like started up in here, we came down and then came back up, and again, started somewhere in here, and it just traveled sideways until the demand came, right? So halving's great for reducing supply, but if you don't have demand to eat up that supply, then it's not going to have a huge effect on price until that demand comes into the market. Let's look for our next areas of support if we come down out of the bottom of this. And we're a long ways off from it, so nothing to fret about too much. I think that would be our mid-range. And then, yeah, I'd say this was probably that lower range right there. So we're not quite at mid-range. Man, it'd be quite a crash to come down into this level, and it's not impossible. I just don't see it happening right away. So let's come in a little bit closer. We'll focus in on the price action and where we are. This weekly chart is definitely more of a buy and hold than any kind of trade. So let's move into a daily. A daily chart on a cryptocurrency makes it 1/7 the size, because you're looking 7 days in each week. It makes it quite a bit smaller, so we zoom in quite a bit. Let's see. We have a very good level here. All right. We'll make these different colors. Let's make these, I don't want to go too monochrome. Let's make these yellow. All right, so our dailies in here on the yellow, and we are coming close into this line. We haven't done anything since coming off this high, off this deviation, right? And we came back up into this area we were in and just lost momentum. You can see that the price action on the way up has been pretty jerky. We've had an impulse followed by correction, and this was pretty normal. Small impulse, bigger correction. This didn't look good to me at the time. I mean, it was definitely a higher high, but then we had a lower low. Came right back down into this high volume, high demand area. Bounced up immediately into another impulse, and then we had all this choppy sideways correction, another smaller impulse, even slower choppy sideways correction. What I'm hoping for is that we come down into here, sort of in this range, get another impulse up, and that'll break us into the next range. Now, if that fails, all right, so start using a little bit of fibs here from our low to our high, and let's trim it down to the most important numbers on here. You don't need all the rest of this garbage. Turn that off for now. Right? So this is that area I'm really looking for. This is our most common retrace areas if we're going to turn around and continue a trend. You can see if you draw trend lines, you guys like trend lines, nice and simple. Draw a trend line across here. Let's solidify that a little bit. Yeah, you can see we've been climbing up pretty well. Can we break under the trend and still come back up? Absolutely. This is just more confluence, this area as a strong support area. Now let's talk about on the way up. Now, should we just reverse up from here, the first area we want to see before we know if this is going to be another upward movement is we've got to pass through this zone here. We can see that the 618, really high traded area there. 786 kind of comes up to our tops. I think if we hit the 786, I probably expect it to come up to here. See this candle close on the daily. That could be, let's pull up a ray. We'll make that a little smaller and color that. So I'm breaking that and this line here. If we came up above into here, as long as we didn't pull back under, right? Because this would be indicative of a what do you call a swing failure pattern, or deviation off the high. What you really want to see is have this come up, test and continue to go, or just blast through it. If we lose that, then I'm definitely thinking we've had our 3 rises at that point, and we're looking for 3 drops. It's pretty standard structure at that point. Yeah, so right here, I'm not looking for anything right here. I will be looking for a reaction into this zone. And if we drop under probably in this zone here, right? See if we can't get wicks. We get wicks into here, we can still turn around. I really think we'll catch on this. Catching on this would be the most bullish in my opinion. Wicking down into here, and that does not look good to me. That looks more prone to failure. And then obviously I think if we break this low, then we're coming down. Probably going to lose the mid of the channel. We may come back down here towards the bottom. We may not touch down here again because we have a lot of structural support in this area. So love to continue to form higher lows. Anywhere in here would be great. This is my first area where I'll be looking for longs. It's just been an absolute sideways crawl. I missed this. I probably should have taken it, but I was looking for a little higher. I wanted 32. I really thought we'd come up just to the tips of these, and we didn't. I don't know if you guys saw my posts on my long from here, and we came up. Then I had a range. We hit 3 of my take profits, and then had another short sitting at 3,200, and it just missed it. So we missed all this down, but honestly, not that upset about it. It's been an absolute crawl on the way down here. It's just been a miserable trade to sit in. I mean, yeah, it'd be in profit, but still, just sitting in that, absolutely miserable. Let's take a look at, what did we talk about? We said we'd bring up some RSI and maybe some volume. Let's take a look at that. Bring up the volume. And let's just do relative strength index. That's it. Oh, I hate this. First of all, I already had it on here. I was going to take the, never mind. I'll start over. I'll show you guys. I do not like that moving average they added. The fills are useless to me. And I'm just going to make it white so it's easier to see. Because I'm blind and old. All right, so on the daily, we don't have really anything going on for the RSI. Not really seeing any strong divergences. It's just kind of sitting under this mid-range, continuing to drip down just like prices, mirroring it almost exactly. We did have quite a bit of bearish divergence along these tops, but that went on for quite some time. Really, we have to zoom out to the weekly, I think, to get a real good hold on the overall trend. And here is where things get a little more interesting, and you can really see the right. So we got our higher highs here, and then we have our lower highs here. That is pretty strong weekly bearish divergence. That is definitely, I think, enough to, it was enough to want to call that we needed a correction here. But we haven't had much of one. You can see on the weekly, we still haven't eased off down to the midline yet on the RSI, and I think that we will. So I'm feeling pretty confident we'll come down in here. If we come back up again, make another higher high, we could blow out this divergence and just completely nullify it. But yeah, I'm still looking for a path that just kind of looks like this. A little deviation out, an impulse back up, and then maybe see if we can hold up here or if that's it and we call her quits on this run. New high time, I give her 2025. I think that, to me, it looks like we're losing some steam. You see all this noise on here. Look at this low volume too. Volume just dropping off. Now decreasing price on decreasing volume, that's another divergence, but that's actually a bullish divergence. So if we continue to lose volume on this crawl down, then when we gain volume, theoretically, it's more likely to gain volume on the way back up. So that's why I think we could get that one last impulse before we either break into this range for a while or break back into this lower range. Let's say we come down, come up, say we fail, come back down to the midline, come back lower, and then just absolute tear in 2025. Maybe that's the time we get stimulus going and start pumping more money into the market. You got to look at our seasonal time frame as well. We're sitting in August. August is not a very bullish month. It's typically a rather choppy month. As you can see, we really didn't get a whole lot out of July, which is sad. July is usually a very bullish month. We got all that chop in August. We should get a nice, might come up for another little high here in August. Get a bigger dip in September, October, and then November, pull it back up. Maybe pull it back up into this midline towards the end of the year, and then end of the year come down. I don't think it's going to come down that far. At least not right away. What I'm hoping for with Bitcoin is that it kind of becomes an alternative to where I think, unfortunately, the stock market's going. But it could happen to Bitcoin as well. We could get one last mad dash down. I'll show you what I'm looking at on the S&P here in a little bit for the generalized markets. Oh, look at that. 11,000. Everybody calling for 10. 9. I think 8. 8 is super strong. Yeah, I've been saying in the 8s for a while. When we were here, that start looking for the 8s. And it didn't come down. And I'm not trying to predict where it goes. I'm just trying to predict where it stops, right? So if you're trading off trends, you want to trade the support on the trend. If you and that's what we're doing here. All right, the trend is up. We want to look for that support on the trend and continue with the trend until it rolls over. Once it rolls over, the trend becomes down, and you trade the trend down until it rolls over again. If you're just buying and selling, you want to buy those lows. I hate it when I do that. Let me put that back. There we go. You want to buy the lows when you're sitting on support, right? You don't want to be buying here, and you come up, come down. And maybe off this candle, you'd buy here. On the way up, you probably wouldn't have. And then come back in, you're like, oh, caught support again. You can buy here again. But you've already come up quite a bit. So don't chase it. Don't chase shorts down here. Don't chase the longs up here. Chase the longs when they come back on these supports, and then take your profits out all the way back up. Protect your positions so that you're not losing out if it comes back over. Price never just goes in one direction. Not always. It comes back. You can see that here. We shot up all the way up, but 60,000 plus. And I tell you, up here, no one was looking at this. Up here, everyone's looking at this. So you got to know where you can fall back to. It's important to know. Let's take a look at Ethereum. Same thing. We'll start on the weekly. Typically, the indices and the bigger, older stocks, I like to start on the monthly, but I feel like we just don't feel like we have enough information on the monthly on most of these. Let's go back to our original color there to really give us that good information on the monthly. Weekly is plenty fine. We did have a deviation off of this one. You can see this range. Look, it starts here, caps here, comes down, got support on it. Deviation, just like we had deviations here. When you get these wicks in and they reverse, or you fail to close a candle above, we close through, but not above, and you got a deviation on your hands. And that's where you can really find these highs and lows. So this is the range we're in. We're still in this lower range. Now we've been testing the upper range. Haven't been able to really find our way above it to climb back up. Now we've got an iffy spot here, right? Just a couple of tests. Didn't mean much over here. You get a couple of tests there, but not a whole lot. So iffy. We go dotted line, a little less strong. For strength, this looks pretty good up here. It's not great. We don't have as much information up top. We just don't. Yeah, I'm going to stick it there. All right. Let's find a mid-range on this one. Sorry, got excited there for a second and then realized I was missing a piece. Honestly, it's not quite the middle, but I like this spot right here. You see here where we came under it, tapped around on it, came over and fell. Yeah, that should be pretty strong support. Support's a higher low. I'd want really, it's more localized, but I really want to find support on this right there. That's where I'm looking for Ethereum, right there. 1691, about 1700, right? I don't want to break this low. I want to stay above it. We come down and we cover that whole candle, and I'd be fine with that. We take that swing low to swing high. Don't worry, I'll zoom in here in a bit so we can see where we're at. We haven't hit the 618 just yet. And that looks like a pretty good spot, honestly. We've got tops here. Look, you pull a line across it. Looks pretty sturdy. If we can hit this in reverse, I'd be happy with that. Otherwise, we do have a higher low. We have a lower low. What we don't want to form now is a lower high. We want to come in and consolidate in that tight little triangle and then take off. Otherwise, it's just going to come back down. I'm tempted to put a harmonic pattern on here because I see one forming on a D leg, but I don't want to go over all that just yet. Save that for another video. That's that's another time. This is something that's easy to do. So, all right. Now we've got our zone of support. Let's put our box down in here, 618 to this line. And that's really where we want to catch. If we start breaking onto that, I'd be really worried about taking out this wick. If we do that, even if it's a swing failure, I'd be more inclined to believe that we're coming down into this mid-range. So yeah, we're on the 5, and that's enough. So we need to be ready at this point. And if you're a buyer or DCA into a position, you could start in here. I like to be picky though, because there's a lot of assets out there, and I want the best prices on all of them. I'm really picky on my asset prices. So let's get out of the weekly here. Let's get into the daily. Yeah, look at that. Just Absolute garbage volume. And it is downtrend, but it's very corrective. It's not impulsive at all. You can see like the volume, and this is average volume. I don't even have the sticks on here. Sometimes it's nice to just take all that noise out. You can see the average volume on the decrease has been decreasing as well. So volume is crap. We get one more swing low to pick up the volume on that swing low, and then boom, knock it out. I want to see it come down into demand, and we haven't hit demand yet, and we haven't hit demand yet because volume is not going anywhere, just absolutely nowhere. So once we find demand, if we find buyers in here, I'd expect that to lift out. And once it starts to lift out and people start hopping on board, that's when you can look for those next zones. Man, we could take it all the way up to 2,500. I could see that. I'd be happy with that. I wouldn't ride all of it up there, just because I'd want some out at the local top. I'd want some out at the prior top. And then, yeah, maybe trail it up here with a nice stop afterwards, and be a good trade, be a real good trade. Let's see the measured on that. So if we hit 618, let's just say just taps it, we catch that and we go. That's a nice 41% move. That's huge. It's a big move. Be happy with that. Be super happy with that. Even up in here, we come up just to the high, make a nice double top. That's still 20%. That's pretty good. I'd be happy with that too. I wouldn't have all of it out there, but maybe ride 25% of it all the way up here. Take those nibbles out. And now if it blows through, and I'm not going to bother with it. But if it's still choppy like this, then yeah. Again, though, I got to think of that time of year, so we got to be cautious. Be very cautious because it's just not a bullish time of year right now. Let's go back to the weekly, and let's go ahead and we'll put the RSI on first. So, boy, I gotta save this. I use my own RSI most of the time. I'm sure you guys have seen it. It looks a little different, but just for simplicity's sake, I'm not gonna change that. There's stuff on there, like right out here on the daily. Got nothing really going on. Close that up. So we got to move to the weekly because like the daily's been flat. You're not going to get a whole lot of information there. We have no divergence on Ethereum. None. Yeah, I don't see any. So, no, at least not on the RSI. Maybe you can find another indicator. It's got some like money flow or the MACD, but as far as RSI goes, got nothing. All right. So that's Ethereum. We're looking at these levels. If we come up, look for a turnaround in a short, you want to see that reaction off the levels. If you don't get a reaction, it's not a trade. And for longs or buys, really looking down in this zone. I'm all the way down about 1,700, just under 1,800 to 1,700. Another big one, XRP. We saw that one move, went nuts. Whole lawsuit thing's coming right back down. Where's it coming back down to? Well, let's find some support. Oh, look at that. We found it. It's not hard to find anymore, is it? I'm sure you guys can see it now too. All right, so there's our top line. That looks like a good bottom line right there. I'm going to pull it up to the bodies because we've got body close back here too. Oh yeah, look at all that. Look at all that. Respects price, man. 30 cents. Rounded numbers. Go figure. And man, we hit a top range up here too. Look at that. Boom. Yep. Look at those wicks above. All right. This is an easy one, man. It's really easy to mark these levels on this one. Go XRP. All right. So we failed to break above this range. We are in this range. So what we want to see is this range hold. If we come down in here and lift out, That's what we want to see. So why do I think we'll come all the way back down at this point? Well, I got the prior low to the high, and we got our 786 right on this line because we've already broken it into 618. Go to the all-time low. 618 is right there on the line. It's more confluence. I got a lot of confluence on this. Now, it may not come all the way down here. That's true. I mean, we could be looking at some strength just below, right around 58 cents. This prior high right there. Maybe this prior high, 56. So since we're looking at a range, let's look for this. And maybe just a little under, get those tops. Let's look for this as our area of interest, right, for XRP. We come down, that's our area of interest. Now, again, got to be ready for the way back up. First zone of resistance, well, one is going to be this weekly close. So let's put a ray on that. Okay. 2 would be just above and here in the 618. So this area here, between this weekly close and the top of our range, I'm going to say it's going to be our resistance area. If we come back up into that first, so you missed a long, right? Then what do you look for? Well, you look for the other direction. So you missed a long and it comes up, shoots up. Well, now you're looking for resistance. You get resistance, you get a short instead. You look to short down into here. If you break that neckline, then maybe XRP comes all the way back down into this. I don't think so, but hey, everything's on the table. It's all possible. So let's take a look at Litecoin. It's a little tougher, not too bad though. See that wick? Right into these candle bodies, right? So that's our low. That's a good low. Yeah, I don't think we're going to come back into that. I think it's probably the bottom end there. And we've got some strong reaction above into this area here. Got a lot of levels here on Litecoin. I'm going to say this was probably our top range. We deviated out. We're coming back down. We may even come back down into the bottom of this. Be another low, but I wouldn't worry about it too much because it didn't go low, high, low, high. We crept down, corrective, small move up, come back in, wind back down into correction. I'm not going to worry about this one until we break back under into this range here. Then I'd be a little more concerned. I don't think we'll come under here unless conditions get really bad. Like worst case scenario, down here into, what is that price point? $25. Yikes. Yeah, that wouldn't be great. But I'm really looking for it to catch maybe about 65. Above 65 would be better, be ideal. We don't come all the way back down in. So if we use our prior big low, I'll try to pull it up. Yeah, we're under that. So let's look here, right at that candle close. We've got some strength in here. You've got a lot of weekly candle closes in here. So we'll mark this level out here, our 786 level. Let's catch that. If we catch 786, I'd be much happier with it. Right at what's that, 75? Yeah, right about 75, 76. We can catch support there. I'll be pretty bullish on it. I'll be pretty happy with that and be ready to roll with that. Marking level there. So that's the next area I've really been looking at is the 130. Kind of 130. I was really hoping we'd hit it with this. But we just couldn't find support back on $100. It just didn't happen. So it was a deviation out of the range. Yeah, it's a weekly deviation. It's harder to see when you're in on the days, right? Because the day did close above. Closed a few above, and it started to catch support. It looked good here. Then it broke under, tried to come back up again, failed. And we've been correcting down. But again, impulsive move up, corrective move down. That's what you want to see because it means you're more likely the next up is going to be impulsive again. Let's look at our volume. Man, I've got this really small. Sorry, guys. All right, that's better. Let's yeah, I should set this to auto fit. There we go. There we go. Now I won't shrink on you guys. All right, let's set that. Let's take a look at volume. Just like everything else, right? We had an increase on this low up until that high, and then the past few days, it's just been coming down. That volume has been decreasing. Now this rise happened on good volume, but again, so did the drop. So this whole area, right here, high volume area. This area, declining volume area. This is not meeting demand yet, and I want to see if demand will hold up in this area here. Let's pull up our RSI. Bear with me. Because I'm stubborn. I'm not going to throw it on my favorites. And I'm just going to leave it alone. Daily, no RSI divergences. Let's go to the weekly. Higher high. Oh, it's barely there, but it is there. That is a slightly lower high. So there is a divergence on the weekly. It has come down in just under the mid-range. You can see RSI losing that bottom and coming down to the bottom. I'd actually like to see that. I'd like to see RSI come down towards the oversold range and get a nice good reversal, like a scoop up. Maybe it will come down here into the 60s and we can just scoop it up and run it. That'd be great. Probably gonna be a while, just like all the other tokens, before it really launches up and takes the high. We've got a lot of ground to try to regain on this. But that's where I'm going to stop with crypto. So if you guys aren't interested in general markets or stocks, you can tune out now. But I'm going to move to the S&P. We're going to take a look at the general market. This is the big money. So the big money chart, S&P 500. There's a lot of correlation with how money moves, right? So this, boom, deviation, just about. One candle close. Not even a deviation, just a failure. One candle close, and then it fell back through. So that's not good. Failed to take out that high. I don't know. With that candle close, it's not so bad. I know I just said it's not good, but short term, I'm thinking that's an area, first area I'd probably look for on support. Yeah, because I'd hate to come all the way back down in here. That'd be an ugly correction. Yeah, it could happen, but you see how this didn't spike up, it crept up. I like that. So it shouldn't just roll over and fall in. Yeah, we do here, but look, it rolls, spikes, comes back up. I'm hoping we get that too. To me, I can see it hitting here, coming back up for one more high, taking out that high, and then probably finding, probably finding some resistance there, and then we move down, cut down, or we hold and form a new high. And either way, I'd be happy with that. Come up out of this top, form a new high, get up over 5,000 and maybe then drop down. I've got some indicators that I've been charting that say that this is what it could do, because the trend is obviously up. Coming down to here would be no problem. I'd be super happy to retest all this as support. Man, that'd be a fantastic trade. If we hit down in here and then scroll around for a little while, I'd be happy to take a long off of that, buy more in, and just let it scoop up. Because I think that turning this into support from all this resistance, that would be fantastic. Uh, but yeah, it's definitely coming in for a bit of correction. Hasn't hit anything drastic yet. We haven't even hit, see this weekly support level, haven't even hit that. Looks to me like it's coming back up, probably for some retests, maybe a gap close. Let's take a look at our gaps. We've got a lot of gaps on the way up. We have one definitely right here. Always the wrong one. There we are. Definitely have a gap up in here. We might want to fill that before continuing to roll over, or it might come up to this level, decide it's not going to fill it, not yet, and come back down, maybe start filling up some of these lower gaps. It's not a lot of open gaps. There's an ugly one down here. Ugh, I hate to come back that low, but it may. Anyway, yeah, so what we now need to form, especially on the daily, I wouldn't call this a high yet. We've got our slightly lower low. It's not really going to be much of a lower low until we break under here around 43.92. Break that, and then you're starting, I think, then you're starting to trend down. If we come back up and we fail here, make a lower high, then obviously this, let me use the raise because I'm starting to get all this confused with the levels. All right, so if we come up into here and fail under this, well, now we've got a smaller corrective lower low, but it's still smaller, and you could find a lot of support right in here where we have a lot of trading going on in this area. So you can see that and curve out. Maybe come up to the tops and then drop down. NASDAQ looks very much like the S&P. Pretty much the same setup. I'm not going to spend too much time on here because it's almost identical. These are the tech stocks. Tech has been an absolute tear. I'm just going to mark this because that is our prior high. It's not really much of a level. I mean, our lows, definitely a good channel there. Yeah, if we came up, failed, and started to work our way down into this 13,624, that'd be good. I'd be happy with that, to find that as support, and then move back up. We're due for a correction. I mean, look at that. Look at that run up, right? It's like this run up and this run up. The only difference is this was at zero interest rate and money flowing into the market. This is at record high interest rates and money just being absorbed out of the market. It's pure euphoria right here. So yeah, I'd like to see a correction until we start to get more bullish market conditions, fundamental market conditions, other than, well, we hope it's coming back up. And that leads us to our market leaders. It's Microsoft and Apple, both of which formed new highs. And I saw that Apple chart. You've all seen it too. It's not a good looking chart right now. But yeah, deviation off the high a couple times, especially this spike, and now it's falling back down. So we can see on Microsoft that this is going to be an interesting range. And if we fall out, now we start to look for supports. We're already in this range. If we start to fall out of the bottom here, then the next area I'd look for is here, these tops, right? And then after that, probably the bottom end here. And let's see if we can line it up. Yeah. Hopefully we just come down halfway. Because otherwise, it might be this line. It's a pretty good support line as well. 786. That'd prevent a lower high. So, sorry, a lower low. Can't speak today. But yeah, that's kind of what we're looking for. Microsoft, it does look like it wants to roll over. If we don't lift off in here and come back up or form a newer high, come back, form a lower high, I'd be looking for that classic M formation, right? We come in, come down, come up, come down, right? So we break that neckline, and then you look for it to come test the neckline or just plummet down, stair step down. And this is kind of the area, definitely the area I really want to see it catch support. We break under there. This doesn't hold, or I'd just honestly be expecting more capitulation. This could come down quite a bit. I would say at that point we'd be looking more at support from here, probably to the 886. I'll put that on there too. Right? We could come all the way down to about 150. It'd be terrible. Absolutely terrible. I'd hate it. Hate it for Microsoft holders because I like Microsoft. And yes, I'm a Microsoft holder. I bought more down in here, so I'm hoping that it does catch above that. But we'll see. I'm trying to be too biased in the ones that I hold. Hold a little bit of Apple too. Yeah. We've come back down into this area. We can see the range. Oh, wait. That's a paintbrush. Where's our box? Here we go. We can see the range. That's our support range. If we don't find buyers in here, or if we don't buy over the top, same idea. Looking for that same M pattern. And I don't like the straight line. So if I were going to buy puts on Apple or short Apple, I'd want to do it up here to failure. If we come up, say we fail about here, come down, start to come down, this even right, this would be a fine spot because I could put your stop maybe up here, new high. We start breaking new highs again. On this end, I think we're just gone, right? So we come up here and we find failure and it starts to fall back down like so. Be a good time to do shorts or puts, close stop, and then confirmation. You could also start here at a break under. If we break under and start forming more bearish structure, lower high, lower low, definitely put some puts out on there. I don't think we're going to go too low. This would probably be, honestly, like with Microsoft, this would probably be our lowest level. I don't think we're going to hit all the way back down and form a new low. I just don't see it. Big company, I mean, they'd have to do something drastic, something in the market would have to break. And that's possible, because something can always break. But, man, I do not like the look of that drop back in. If we don't catch support here and we continue to fall down into this, that's not good for the whole market. Just because Apple's the largest stock in the S&P 500, it's got the biggest weight of all the stocks in those 500 stocks in the S&P. So that covers our big market movers. Cover the S&P, the NASDAQ, and the two largest stocks in both the S&P and the NASDAQ. And there's plenty more to look at. I know there's plenty more altcoins. But this is kind of giving you a general direction. Some of the big ones. I can start dropping a little on some of the smaller ones or some of the more interesting ones. But just a short recap, look for buys in here. Looked along this, see if we can't get a rise. Same thing with Ethereum and the green box, XRP, green box, Litecoin. I did not put a green box on, but I can. Let me do that for you guys. I think we come down. Hopefully, let's see if we can catch. It's a little trickier on this one. Let's see if we can't catch something in here. This is where I'm really looking. If we come back down into this, I'd really consider buying. Otherwise, we're coming back into this lower range. I just don't see it hitting in the lower range just yet. So keep an eye on these. Keep these charts up, and we'll revisit them in a couple of days, see where things are going, especially after things start moving. All right. See you guys next time.